I want to thank Father Schultz and your parish council for inviting me to be with you. When we use the word parish mission, I'm thinking of an incident in Ireland where a missionary came in and he wanted to really get people's attention and scare them, and he looked at them and he said, "Someday, everyone in this parish is going to die." And everybody was very solemn and straight-faced, but there was one fellow out in the pew who was kind of giggling and laughing. Oh, that made the priest very angry. So he said again, "Someday, everybody in this parish is going to die." And this fellow started laughing out loud. Oh, the priest didn't like that. He said, "Why are you laughing?" He said, "I'm not from this parish." So then the missionary said, "Now, everybody in this parish right now who wants to go to heaven, everybody stand up." So they all stood up. And he said, "Now, everybody who wants to go to hell, stand up." One fellow stood up. The priest was kind of dumbfounded. He said, "Well, Jack, you don't really go to want to hell, do you?" Well, he said, "Not exactly, Father, but I didn't want to see you just standing there all by yourself alone." The readings that we listen to today use water as a metaphor for grace. On planet Earth, 71% of our globe is covered by water, more than Earth. And that is an indication of the amount of grace that God is showering on us for our salvation. In the parish mission, I'm going to be talking about two individuals and two writers who can tell you and me a good deal about grace. Now, if you will pardon me slipping from the persona of Bernard McGarty to another person, I will speak in the first person. May I introduce myself? My name is Saul. I am from Tarsus, the capital city of Cilicia in Asia Minor. The Sindus River brings navigable boats from the nearby Mediterranean into our city. We are on an ancient trade route from Syria to Jordan. Fertile fields nearby and good grazing land for sheep and goats contribute to a vigorous economy. Tarsus is no small city. Roman officials invited some Jewish families to move from Jerusalem to Tarsus and establish business ventures. My father Simon and my mother Sarah were just married, and they thought it a good opportunity. Our family, because of that, operates an inn, providing food and sleeping rooms. Now, one time, when an official from Rome was robbed and beaten near the Cilician gates, that's the mountain passage, my parents nursed him back to health. Because of that kindness, and my parents moved to Tarsus at Rome's request, our family was granted Roman citizenship, a special favor, and I carry this on my waist, on my leg, to show that I am a Roman citizen. In the empire, 1/3 of the people are slaves. A brand is burned into their forehead. Many of those run away. We Jews were not slaves, but we were second-class citizens in terms of privilege and protection, freedom of movement and travel. This wood paddle with my name on it identifies with the seal of Augustus the Emperor is an invaluable protection. I am a Hebrew, born of Hebrew parents. I am of the tribe of Benjamin, I am named for a member of the tribe, the first king of Israel, Saul, an honor of great magnitude. In the synagogue at Tarsus, we are a small group of 27 families. Our rabbi, Gideon, is a man of piety. He's also a farrier, shoeing horses for an income. At home and in the synagogue, we speak Aramaic, but we read Hebrew. Gideon teaches the Torah well, but there are questions he cannot answer. From age 6 to 12, I studied Greek rhetoric and a bit of Latin at an academy in town. There they called me Paul, the Greek version of Saul. My desire was to become a scholar and a rabbi. My father said, "That is a noble profession, but they do not get paid well. You must learn a trade so you can always support yourself, so you can be independent." I was apprenticed to a tent maker, Samuel. He taught me how to weave goat hair into tight fabric and to fashion a cloak to resist rain. I learned how to purchase skins from shepherds and goat herders, how to cut holes and sew and repair torn tents. I finished my training and put aside money for marriage. At 17, my parents said it was time to study in Jerusalem. My sister Rebecca recently married a man from there. I could live with them. I sailed down the Sindus into the Tyrrhenian Sea, stopped at Cyprus, then landed at Joppa in the province of Judea. The hike up to the sacred city was exhilarating. I shall forever treasure seeing the sun reflect off the gold plates of the temple. Coming closer, I could not believe the height of the columns, 70 feet. The magnificence of the second temple overwhelmed me. How proud I was of my Jewish heritage and how eager I was to study. I wanted the very best teacher. It took me a year to qualify as a student under Gamaliel, grandson of the disciple of the great scholar Hillel. In some early lecture, walking on Solomon's porch, a student asked Gamaliel, how many Torahs were given to Israel? Rabbi Gamaliel said 2, one in writing, one orally. It dawned on me, I only knew the oral, not the written. There were volumes I needed to learn, oral teaching, the need to study the Mishnah. I began to realize how ignorant I was, how much I needed to learn. Some of my classmates were very rash, radical. Gamaliel was moderate. He was quite liberal. Some would say, by this time I was 20, strongly drawn to the Pharisees, my family tradition. A group of my friends were dubbed fanatics, zealots. I became one of them. I had not seen this man they called Jesus, but heard stories. I could not believe that he was the Messiah. The story of his rising from the dead was too fantastic, unbelievable. I knew he and his followers were impostors, charlatans. I knew that they were out to mislead Orthodox Jews. There was a follower of Jesus named Stephen, fermenting religious change. One day he was preaching outside the walls in the old city, attracting a large crowd. 10 of us ran up to him, knocked him down, dragged him around the corner, tied his hands behind his back, bound his ankles, threw him against the wall, cursed him, spit on him. Someone shouted, "Let us take off our cloaks and stone him." We did, and Stephen died. He died quickly. None of us were arrested. We had protection from the Sanhedrin. The Roman authorities pretended not to know. After the death of Stephen, I was a hero to the high priest, but Gamaliel did not approve of the murder. He said, if this endeavor, these followers of Jesus, is of human origin, it will destroy itself. But if it is from God, you will not be able to destroy it. You will be fighting against the goad. I was not a hero in the eyes of that great teacher. He was profoundly angry. That encouraged my friends. I was rash, emotional, and combative. So you've heard some of my story. If you come on the evening, you will hear more of my story. And I will tell you not only of the ancient writer Paul, and in your pew, I've given you some information to whet your appetite. And I will be telling you of a modern writer. Father Henry Nouwen has published more books, small and understandable, of any other spiritual writer in the last 30 years. So, in the evening and in the morning, I'm going to be speaking to you about two great writers, Paul and Father Nouwen. And in all of those talks, we are going to try to discover the deep, magnificent, wonderful mystery of grace, God's life in our soul.